All right, so we're diving deep today, and it's a bit of a heavy topic, but super interesting.
Yeah,
We're
definitely.
looking at this excerpt you sent, and it's talking about, uh, I guess you could call it revenge, but not quite in the way we usually think about it. It's saying that like people who are, and I'm using their words here, ugly on the inside, they kind of end up like self-destructing. So like revenge is almost unnecessary.
Yeah, it's a thought-provoking idea, isn't it? I mean, when they say ugly inside, it makes you think about, well, what does that even mean?
Right. Totally. Totally.
And I think what they're getting at is, those negative personality traits, those bad behaviors that some people have, that they might actually be the things that lead to their own downfall. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's like their own negativity is what brings them down. It's almost like a built-in justice system. Their actions, they kind of come back to bite them. But then the question is that enough? Is that like a passive way to deal with injustice? I mean, shouldn't there be, I don't know, some sort of external, I don't know.
Yeah, it really challenges that traditional idea of revenge, right?
Mm.
Where you actively try to get back at someone who's wronged you.
Hmm.
But here the idea is more like, I don't know, almost like karma. Like the universe or maybe even just like their own mind will sort of take care of things.
Okay, yeah, okay, I see that. I see that. So then, like, how does that actually work? Like, what's the psychology behind this whole self-destruction thing?
Well, let's think about it, right? So imagine someone who's really deceitful or someone who just like lacks empathy. They can't connect with people. Or maybe they're super manipulative.
Oh, yeah, yeah. We all know those types, right?
Right. Exactly. And these are the kind of traits that can really damage relationships. Like, think about someone who's always burning bridges.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. What happens over time? They end up isolated, right? People stop trusting them. Their friends start disappearing. They might even sabotage their own careers. And then that isolation, it can actually make their negative traits even worse. So you see how it becomes like a vicious cycle.
Oh, wow. Okay, I see, I see. So it's not like some mystical force or anything. It's more like the consequences of their actions are just like catching up with them.
Right, exactly. It's like they create their own problems, almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. And this idea of a self-fulfilling prophecy, that's actually a real thing in psychology. It's this idea that, what we believe, what we expect can actually shape our behavior and end up creating the very outcomes that we're anticipating. So like in this case, someone who is always operating from this place of negativity, like they're so focused on being deceitful or manipulative that they might actually set things in motion that ultimately lead to their downfall. They almost like create their own bad luck in a way.
Right, right, right. Wow, that's fascinating. But it still feels a little simplistic. I don't know, like to say that all bad people they all self-destruct.
Yeah.
Like what about those people who seem to, I don't know, they just seem to get away with it. Like they're negative, they're maybe even cruel, but somehow they thrive. They don't seem to suffer any consequences. What about them?
Yeah, I hear you. It's definitely not a universal law. You're right. Life's not always fair, and sometimes it feels like people do get away with bad behavior, and that's frustrating.
Right, exactly.
But I think this idea that we're talking about from the excerpt, it's more like a different way to think about revenge, like a thought experiment. Not a hard and fast rule.
Okay, yeah, yeah, a thought experiment. I like that. But okay, so even if we think about it that way, it's still a little, I don't know, unsettling. Like to just let go of that desire for justice.
Hmm.
When someone's wronged us, we naturally want to see them, I don't know, pay for what they did.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think the message here is to condone bad behavior. It's not about saying, oh, well, they'll get what's coming to them eventually, so we shouldn't do anything. It's more about, I think, shifting our focus. Instead of getting caught up in all the anger and resentment, which can be so exhausting, it's about saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to focus on myself. I'm going to focus on growing and becoming a better person. Because ultimately, holding on to that negativity, it only hurts us in the long run. It doesn't really affect the other person, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
It's like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die.
Right. So instead of seeking revenge,
Mm.
what we should be doing is cultivating, what do they call it? Oh, inner beauty.
Yeah, inner beauty.
Yeah, yeah. So like focusing on ourselves and growing.
Exactly. And remember, inner beauty, it's not about being perfect, right? It's about like cultivating these positive qualities like empathy, compassion, integrity. You know, these are the things that not only make our own lives better, but they also they have this ripple effect on everyone around us. It's about creating positive energy instead of getting sucked into that negativity.
I love that. I love that. So, okay, so big picture, if we kind of zoom out from this whole ugly inside thing and this idea of revenge, what we're really talking about is personal growth.
Yeah.
And letting go of all that negativity that can, just weigh us down.
That's a great summary.
Yeah.
And it actually makes me think of a question for everyone listening, to think about if letting go of revenge is a sign of this inner beauty, how can you cultivate more of that in your own life? What are some things you can do, maybe even today, to focus on your own growth and well-being and not get stuck dwelling on the negative stuff that other people are doing?
Ooh, that's good.
Something to ponder, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. All right. Well, on that note, we're gonna wrap things up here. Thanks so much for diving deep with us today. It's been a really interesting conversation.
It has been.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll catch you next time.
See ya.